Good day, students. Welcome to math.serve.com. In this clip, we're going to be going over how to simplify algebraic expressions. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down the instructions for the examples that we are going to be simplifying. The instructions are for us to simplify each expression. Okay, so the first expression we're going to be simplifying is -6 multiplied by -5n minus 4 minus n plus 5. Now, if you take a look at this expression, the question is, what do we combine first? This is very similar to order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay? You are going to focus on simplifying the parentheses as much as you can first. Then multiply and divide in order from left to right. And then you finish by adding and subtracting. Okay? So remember the acronym, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, so parenthesis comes first, and then exponent, multiply, divide, have the same hierarchy, but you go from left to right. The same with addition and subtraction. So if you look in the parentheses, can we simplify the expressions in the parentheses? The answer is no, because these are unlike terms. If you notice, this is -5n, and then this is -4. This is a variable. This is a constant. The same applies to this quantity right here. They are unlike terms, hence they cannot be simplified. This is a variable. This is a constant. Another way we can distinguish these two terms in the parentheses is using degrees. Okay, this is a first degree variable in terms of n, and this is a 0-degree variable. So when their degrees are different, they are like terms. You cannot combine them. Okay, here we have the degree of the variable n here is 1, and the degree of the variable here is 0. So these are unlike terms also. So now that we cannot apply simplification of the parentheses, since the parentheses are already simplified, we move on to E. There are no exponents here, so we cross that out. Now multiplication and division. Notice we have a multiplication here. We also have a multiplication here too. Now let's take a look at the first multiplication. Now what we are going to do is distribute -6 to the terms in the parentheses. Okay? -6 goes to the first term. -6 goes to the second term. Now when you're multiplying, remember that the sign goes with the sign, the number goes with the number, and the variable goes with the variable. Okay? So in this case, we have minus times minus is plus. Remember, anytime you're multiplying signs that are the same, you always have plus. Okay? So minus times minus is plus. 6 times 5 is 30. And then imagine there's an n to the 0 here. So n to the 0 times n to the first, you add the powers, you end up with n to the first power. Okay? Now let's multiply -6 times -4. Minus times minus is a plus. Remember, anytime you're multiplying signs that are identical, you always have a plus. 6 times 4 is 24. Now we are going to be distributing here also But you might wonder, there isn't a number in front of this parenthesis. So what are we going to be distributing? What we're distributing here is 1. Okay, if you do not have any number, you you put 1 there. Okay, because 1 is a multiplicative identity. So what we're going to do is distribute -1 to these two terms in the parentheses. Now if we do that, we'll have -1 times n is negative n. -1 times +5. Now the signs are different, which gives us a negative. 1 times 5 is 5. Now we'll proceed to combine like terms with the same degree. We have n and n to the first degree, so let's underline that. N and n we combine. Now we're going to be adding or subtracting the coefficients. N has no number in front, so the default coefficient is 1. Okay, so what is 30 minus 1? 30 minus 1 is 29. 29n. 24 and -5, we'll combine those two. Positive 24 minus 5 is positive 19. Okay, plus 19. If the first term in an expression is positive, you do not have to put any sign there. Okay, so our final result is 29n plus 19. All right, let's take a look at another example. Problem number 2. We're going to be simplifying algebraic expressions involving fractions. Okay, for number 2, we have -3 over 2x plus 5 over 3 times x minus 4 over 3. Okay, now we are going to be applying the order of operations here again. Remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. We have parentheses, we have multiplication, and we have addition. Which do we do first? We want to do parentheses first. Now, if we look inside this parenthesis, you notice that we have x minus 4/3. These are unlike terms, hence they cannot be combined. So the parenthesis is already taken care of. Now we have the choice of either adding or multiplying. Which do we do first? Following the order of operations, we must multiply before we add and subtract. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 5/3 and distribute it to x and 4/3. To make our multiplication easy to execute, I would like to express these 3 terms as fractions. Okay, now this is already a fraction. How do I express x as a fraction? I can write it as x over 1 there. Now when you're multiplying fractions, numerator gets multiplied by the numerator, and then the denominator gets multiplied by the denominator. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Bring down -3 over 2x. Now you also carry the sign while distributing. Positive 5/3 times positive x over 1. The signs are the same, so we bring down a plus. 5 multiplied by x is just 5x, and then 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. Remember, you multiply the numerator and denominators. Now plus times the minus in front of 4/3 is minus. Remember, when you're multiplying different signs, the signs are always, the result is always minus. Numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator. 5 times 4 is 20, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now we have resolved the multiplication piece. Now to finish off the problem, we have to combine like terms. Now what are the like terms here? You notice this has a degree of 1, x to the first power, and this also has x to the first power. This has x to the 0th power, or is a constant. So we are going to combine the two terms with the same degree, which is a degree of 1 in the x variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine these two. You notice that their denominators are different. So in order to combine them, we need to find the LCD of 2 and 3. The smallest number that these two go into evenly is 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 3 goes into 6 twice. Okay? So our goal is to make the denominators 6. To make this 6, I have to multiply the denominator by 3. In order to avoid changing the problem, we have to multiply the numerator by 3 also. In this case here, 5 over 3x, we have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2, so the denominator becomes the LCD, which is 6. So we have here 3 times 3, negative 9, over 3 times 2, 6, x, plus 2 times 5, 10, over 3 times 2, 6, x, minus 20 over 9. Now that the denominators of these two like terms are identical, we can now combine them. Negative 9 plus 10, we're combining two numbers with different signs, so we have to subtract the smaller from the bigger, which is 1, and take the sign of the bigger number, which is positive. Okay, so it's going to be positive 1. The denominator stays the same, x minus 20 over 9. Okay, so that is the simplified form of this original expression you have up here. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. We really appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe to our channel for updates to other cool tutorials such as this. You can post a comment in the comment section to let us know what you think about this tutorial. More clips can be found on math.serve.com. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful day.